Right, today's lesson is on episode 4. It's improving your eyesight, even though it's not actually your eyesight that we're looking at. This is probably the toughest one I've got to do, the hardest one. It's not actually difficult to do once you understand what to do, but being able to explain it to people so they learn how to do it is particularly difficult. Like, this is about the 12th go I've had of trying to make this particular episode. So bear with me. Right? Okay. Step 1, I've broken it down into a whole heap of steps. Step 1, you'll be looking at this program through a screen, like your mobile phone or whatever, on YouTube. And there'll be a wall behind you, not behind the screen. And I want you to listen to the instructions before doing it, because otherwise you'll stuff it up. You want to have your eyes start over here and start moving your eyes across the screen, across the wall, right? Reasonably slowly, just like this. And then you'll see some dark object, any object. Could be a light switch, could be a picture, doesn't matter, right? Just some dark object that you land your eyes on, and while you're doing this, going across the wall, the eye will be in soft focus. It's not super detailed, it is in focus, but it's not super sharp. And when it lands on the object, you're on it for like half a second, and then your eyes go to hard focus, where the item is really sharp and crisp and you can see everything that's on it, or see it in more detail. Right? And what I want you to do is to try and catch yourself doing it, right? So that you've got soft focus as you're going along, and then landing on it in soft focus, and then going to sharp focus. It's like a split second, it's like that. So hit the pause button and try doing it, and do it on multiple different objects on the wall. Right? So you do it several times, soft focus, land on it, soft focus, hard focus. Okay. So hopefully you're back again after step 2, or full step 2. Now I want you to look at the item in hard focus. Right? So you're looking at it, and what you can see is very detailed in that small section that you're actually looking at. And while you can still see bits around the outside, you're not actually paying that much attention to it, and that your head is only just looking at that small section where you've got it under hard focus. It's sort of, you could describe it as tunnel vision, where you're just looking and you've got the detail here and all the rest is softish focus, but you're not paying much attention to it. Okay, step 3. You get to holding your eyes on this object and you are in hard focus there, and then I want you to stick your hand up like this, right? Whilst still looking at the object in hard focus, and then tell your head that you want to count the fingers, and it's quite easy. Right? You can count the fingers here, and you can put them up here, and you can count the fingers. You can count the fingers at the same time, quite easily. And the thing to notice is that the rest of the stuff is that your eye can see is all in soft focus, and you're not actually paying that much attention to it. You're only paying attention to the centerpiece, which is in hard focus, and these two bits here, which soft focus, where you can just see essentially the outline, the shape. Right? Okay. So what you've learned from doing all this is that your eye, or should have been, is that your eye can see 150 highs, plural, can see 150 degrees. Right? You can't quite see 180, you can see here. And your eye is giving your brain the image from here to there. But it's your brain which is selecting the bits that you really want to look at. So it's selecting the bit in the middle where you've told it, I want to be hard focused in the middle, and it's telling you, I'm looking at these bits here right now, and so my brain is saying, oh yeah, I've got that under control, I'm looking at those bits too. Yeah? And it's not your eyes that see the deer, it's your brain. And this is the bit that you have to understand. Right? Because it's trying to teach your brain how to spot the deer, is what we're trying to do, if you like to think of it like that. Right? So essentially, we're trying to get the brain to scan the 150-degree image that you've got, right, to look for the dark shapes which look like part of a deer. So just like the hands here, where I can see the outline of the hand quite easily, you can see the fingers. You can't see the detail. If you bring your hand round to here and you're looking at it, you can actually see the lines on your hand, but when you get round to here, you can only really see the shape. And it's pale hands, right? But when you look at it from the corner of your eye, you're actually looking at it a couple of shades darker. I don't know how that works, but it does. If I was to go hold my hand like this, what does this shape represent? The back of a deer. Does this help? That's what the back of a deer looks like. It's a linear shape. And you would have had people tell you, oh yeah, stop looking for a whole deer, look for part of a deer. But no one tell you how to do it. Well, I'm trying to tell you how to do it. Look for the horizontal shapes. I'll bang on and on and on like a cracked record on it, because the horizontals, cracked record. You guys are too young to know what vinyl sounds like. Now, I'll repeat over and over and over again about the fact that the horizontal shape absolutely stands out, and you can see it miles away. Once you know what to look for, once you've got your brain to figure out what it's supposed to be looking for. What's this shape? It's the arse end of a deer. Does this help? So that's the tail end of the deer. This is the legs. What's this shape? It's the front of the deer. So it's this part coming down here, and then the legs. They all stand out like dog's balls. They really do. What's this shape? With a very pointy nose. It is the head of a fallow deer. Imagine this is all dark and black. You can really pick out whether it's male or female just by the shape of the nose. So, what's the Tesla sign? The Tesla logo? That's the same shape as the back end of a Seeker stag, or Seeker hind. They've got a black line and they've got a black tail and they've got two bits of white bit. The back end of a red deer looks like this. It's sort of heart shaped. Now this is the tail. These fingers here are the tail, and this is the part around here is around the edge of the legs. But it's up in the arse. This whole bit here is all pale, and this is the bit that comes around here. I suppose I should have done it this way. But if you hold your hands up that way, that's the tail, and that's the outer ring of the arse. Yeah, I know. You're sitting there saying, this joker must be on bloody drugs, he's been smoking too much of the electric pu'er, You won't know what electric pu'er is. It's marijuana. Yeah, I can assure you that I don't. I get enough trouble with alcohol. Right. So the whole idea is to try and educate the brain to scan the picture that it's getting for the dark shapes which look like part of a deer. That's what we're going to try and get you to do. The next thing is, I want you to find a wall that's like 6 meters away from you, the end of the lounge or something like that. And move the eye around the wall. Just keep it moving, and then end up in the center. And try and get it so that your eye doesn't go into hard focus. That you're trying to control it. And the easiest way to do that is that when you get to stop, you want to be looking through the corner of your eye for the dark objects on either side of the wall. Might be a picture here and a light shade or something else that you're looking at. But you want to be looking in the centre, the eyes in the centre, but you're looking at the dark objects. And then I want you to see if you can see the whole wall like a picture, like if someone showed you a photograph and took a photograph and you looked at it, you could see the whole wall. Because when you see a photograph, it's nice and small, and your eyes concentrate on the whole lot. What we're trying to do is we're trying to get your eye or your head to see the whole wall at the back in one go, right? In soft focus, and to see the dark bits. Right, so it may actually be easier if you just do it by glancing. So if you look over here, and this is the walls there, you just run your eyes to the wall and back again. So you just run over, and what you're trying to do is you're trying to see the whole wall in one go. Right? So you look here and bring your eyes back, and trying to see it in one go. Okay. Now, I know some of you say, well, how the hell you can see deer just by glancing at them? I can't even see it when I look hard. Part of the problem is you're looking hard. You've actually got to look less hard to see the deer. Is that Irish? I think so. I'll never forget the day I first learned to see them by glancing. It was Woodhill Forest yet again. And it's early morning. So it's the half light of dawn where everything looks a shade of grey. And I was walking like stink up this forestry track trying to get to where I thought the big stag was going to be. And I was walking along the forestry track, and the trees are planted in rows in a production pine forest. And the way to hunt a production pine forest is you walk across the rows, and you look like this, and then into the next row. You don't try and look straight ahead, because the tree on this row and the tree in the next row and the tree in that row, you only have to go through about 3 or 4 rows of trees, and all you're seeing is this wall of wood, and you can't see any deer. But when you look up the rows, you can see quite a distance, and it allows you to see the deer for 40, 50, 60 metres easily. Anyway, I was walking along, doing the old glancing, and then the voice in the back of the head said, Yowie, there's a deer back there, horizontal shape. So I went back the first row, no horizontal shape. Maybe it's the other row. So it was 2 rows back, and here's this horizontal shape. And I'm going, well, if that's horizontal shape's a deer, then the head must, you can only ever get to the head must be at one end or the other. You only get to the must bit before you go, oh, shit. And here's the triangular shape of a fallow height, right? The head of a fallow height. I couldn't see the antlers at the top because obviously didn't have any, but there was trees in the way. Right? But I knew from the pointy nose that it was a hind, and we weren't allowed to shoot them. So it was a Mexican standoff for about 5 minutes until a deer got sick and tired of me and ran off. Right? But it was really interesting that you could actually see the deer just by a glance, right? And having the brain process the image for the dark shape that looks like a part of a deer. And that morning I saw 8 deer, right, just by glancing. Right? And then, as luck would have it, I managed to shoot the biggest deer of the season, and everything turned out really good. But the next thing you need to know is which eye is your master eye. So you point your finger at object on the wall and shut one eye. If the finger's lined up with that object on the wall, that's your master eye. If you're right-handed, it's probably your right eye is the master eye, but there are confused people around who will be their left eye is their master eye. And if you Shut the other eye, the eye's looking at an object, the finger's looking at an object off to the side. So when you're looking at something, your eyes, you think are focused like this, but in actual fact, one eye's straight and the other one's on an angle like this. It's only explanation that would make it work. Okay, now the reason for knowing the master eye and the non-master eye is that when I first tried to teach myself to be able to see, I taught my right eye first and said, oh yeah, now I've got it sorted, yeah, she's sweet, the brain will work the rest of it out, no worries. Well, I'm a couple of rounds short of a full magazine, and my brain wouldn't work it out. I had to actually go and train the left eye as well, and to this day the left eye is not as strong as the right eye, or the right part. The brain's interpretation of the image is not that good to the left versus to the right. I don't know how that works, but anyway. So yeah, try and work it out to the left, or to your non-master eye first, with all this practical training that I'm going to go on about. What do you find in American parks? Like Central Park and all that sort of stuff. Muggers, rapists and pedophiles, right? What do you find in New Zealand parks? This is Auckland, this is New Zealand's biggest city. One Tree Hill is just over there, and it's like the absolute middle of Auckland. We have cows. There's no bull. We have cows. I'm sorry to the Americans. We also have our collection of weirdos as well, including muppets like myself trying to make hunter training videos. The thing is that the cows are a good, you can use them to help teach yourself to look for part of a deer, because the cows that are up there are Herefords, brown body, white face, the brown sort of closest to a deer. But they have a straight back, and they have the curve, and they have the neck, and they have a bigger head, it's sort of squarer, has ears. So you can use the cows in the park as a dummy run, if you like, to try and train your head to look at the image that your eyes give you for those shapes. Okay? And if you're in a place where you don't have cows in your park in the middle of the city, there's mad people in this world that own horses. If you think owning a quad bike and a boat's expensive, man, that is loose change compared to owning a horse. And the beauty about these mad people that own horses is they put all the horses in the same paddock. It's fantastic. And a horse, it's a big deer, right? But it's still got the back, it's still got the ass, it's still got the neck, and it's still got ears that move. So you can go down and do the same thing with a paddock full of horses. So this is your homework. You've got to try and get your head to understand that it's going to pick out those shapes for you and start warning you that they are there. And then you use your eyes on sharp focus to actually work out whether it is a deer or not, or whether it's just a log. So to start with, you want to go to where the cows are, and the next part of this video I'm going to go and show you, not that you can really see it on the video, on how it works, because you've actually got to go and experience it yourself. But you want to stare here, and the cows are over there, and then out of the corner of your eye, out of this part, you want to be looking for the horizontal shapes, and pick out 3 cows. While you're looking here, you're looking out here for those things, the top of the animal, and then you want to pick out one of them, move your eyes over, latch onto it, and your eye should land exactly on it, and it should also be in hard focus. So when you were doing the example in the room earlier, your eye landed on the object and it was in soft focus, and then it went to hard focus. And this example, I don't know how the brain does it, it works out the distance And when your eyes land on it, your eyes will land in sharp focus, if you're doing it right. So yeah, sharp focus, back again. Sharp focus, back again. Then pick out the next one. Sharp focus, back again. And the next one. Sharp focus, back again. And this is to try and train the head of what you want it to do. Okay. Then you repeat it with the arse end of the cow. So you suss out the arse end shape is like this. What shapes can maybe like this? You suss it out with the eye. That's the back of the cow. That's the back of the cow. That's the back of the cow. And do exactly the same thing. The same with the front. The same with the head. It's going to be square like this, which is not that deer-like, but it's good practice. And you can do the rest of it with the ears. You can sit there, look at it through the corner of your eye, trying to pick out a movement of an ear out of a cow, and then sharp focus on it. Okay. The next thing is you want to repeat that, but you start over here and you run your eyes scanning across the paddock very slowly, and then you bring your head around until you get to here where you can't see them out of the corner of your eye, and then you've got to process the image in your head and say, I saw the cow and it was there, and then you go snap to it. And if you've got it right, your head will say it's there, and when you move your head in a hurry, your eye should land exactly on the cow. Don't ask me how the head works that one out. I have no idea. But it can do it. It's eerie. It really is. I know. You think I'm on a bit of Parnell icing, yeah? Parnell's a posh suburb of people consume a lot of Coke, and not the stuff that you drink. Yeah. Right, so we've done that one. So this is the bits about trying to get your head to scan the image for the dark shapes that look like part of a deer. And it will help you either bush stalking or looking at a clearing on the side of a hill. What you're doing at the moment is you are looking at a clearing and you're looking in sharp focus, willing yourself to try and see it, so sharp focus on that part of the clearing, sharp focus here, sharp focus there, and you're only seeing this little section of the hill. And you're ignoring all the rest. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to get you to see all the rest. Okay? And even when you go deer stalking and bush stalking, it's the same story, trying to get your head to warn you that there is a dark shape there that looks the same. It looks like a deer. I remember the first time I did it. I was seeker hunting in the winter. They've got a grey coat. I was walking through the Pepperwood. What's this, round shape like this? I'm going, is that a deer? Only about 30 yards. I'm going, what it was the deer was standing here, and there was a log, grey log in front, and the deer was sort of just behind it, and all I could see was the arse end of the deer sort of sticking out the back. And as I was busy debating whether this log was actually a deer, it got up and ran away. But I was quite happy because I'd actually seen a deer by seeing the arse end of the deer by looking at the shape. So now, since I've spent most of the time trying to get you to not look at hard focus, now I'm going to tell you about the fact that you should be looking at hard focus, but it's select stuff. You would have had people, hopefully, tell you, don't look at the trees, look through the trees, but nobody tells you how to do it. And essentially you've been looking at the clearing and you just see bush, and that's it, you stop. You don't actually force yourself to actually focus on the ground on the other side of the bush, which is what you've got to try and do. Obviously, some trees you can't, but a lot of the trees, a lot of the bushes, you can actually see through the bush to the ground on the other side. And that's what you've got to try and do, is you've got to try and educate yourself, your head, that don't focus on the bush, focus on the ground on the other side of the bush. And you've got to tell yourself to do it. I remember the day I managed to do it. I was walking through hunting and seeker hunting, and I caught myself just looking at the bush, beat myself up and said, "Oh, you in here, bloody idiot. Look through the bush." And that one bush I looked through, it was quite a spindly pepperwood bush, and there's this horizontal shape on the other side, in the sun as well. I could see it quite clearly, and I go, that must be a deer, and I must have jumped. The sort of shock of seeing it, and the bloody thing had been looking through the bushes at me and decided, well, I should bugger off. So it squealed at me and ran off. But I didn't get the deer, but I did actually get to see the deer by seeing it through the bush. And one of the best ways of learning how to do that is with a set of binoculars. If you got binoculars which are fixed focus, you pick them up, you go out to the rubbish bin, lift up the bin and throw them in it. They are absolutely useless. You might be able to use them to go and watch the races on New Year's Day at Ellerslie, but the rest of the time they're completely and utterly useless. You need a set of binoculars with a focus ring or focus dial on it. And you sit on one side of a hill and you focus on the bush with the binoculars, because the binoculars have got a very short field of view, if you like. Field of view, the bit that's in focus is only very short. And you focus on it, on the bush, and then you focus so that you can see through the bush and see the ground on the other side. It's a bit like if you hold up your hands and you're looking at the wall. Right? You can look at the wall and your hands are blurry. You can look at your fingers and the wall's blurry. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to look at the wall through your fingers. If you move your head around, right, your head will actually give you more of the picture of what you've seen rather than your fingers. That one takes a bit of visualization, but it can be done. It can give you, your head can give you a more complete picture of the stuff that it's actually genuinely looking at. Okay. You've been looking at clearings, and you've just been looking hard focus in the middle. You've now got to go and take that knowledge of looking through the trees, to when you're looking at the clearing, to be looking through the trees on the edge of the clearing, because you'll see more deer just on the edge of the clearing than you will actually in the clearing itself. And the only way to do it is to sit there and beat yourself up every time you're only looking at the bush, and try and focus on the ground on the other side. And the next thing, little homework thing you've got to do is you go and make an estimate of how much area, this much that you're looking at in the clearing. And you see this big face, side of a hill, it's full of bushes. At the moment you're looking at it and going, it's all trees, but it's not. Yes, it's covered in foliage, but there's huge gaps in the foliage if you look hard enough. And what you've got to do is you've got to go along and you've got to look at the ground around the trees and bushes and things all along the face. And then I want you to make an estimate of how much area you can see by looking at the ground on the face. You probably want to write it down before you before you do it, your estimate, right, of how many clearings worth am I going to see, and then because I've got a smirk on my face, you want to write down what you think Ewan thought you'd see, right, and see which one comes out closest. Right? You'll be absolutely surprised at how much of the face you can see and how much of the face that you're not looking at this present point. It's huge. If you go Tussock Hut or Harkness, any of those North Island high altitude huts, you've got beech trees, you've got some shitty spindly bloody bushes from the beech trees, and then you've got the tussock. And most people go to and they just want to look at the tussock because they can see, but that's not where the deer are. Go and look where all the spindly shit is, and you can't hunt on the same side that the spindly shit is. You've got to sit on a prominent ridge on the other side, preferably have the sun behind you, and look into the spindly shit on the other side. And you're only seeing very small snippets of space on those faces, but you'll eventually see the deer because that's where the deer live. It's like the prime place to go. So, you can also do a bit of training at the traffic lights. I know you think I'm smoking it, but you sit at the traffic lights and you've got the car in front of you, which you can see. Right? So you keep your eyes locked on the car in front, and then out of the corner of your eyes, practice seeing the people on the footpath, sidewalk, and you're looking at those people and those people at the same time. Right? And so you're just sort of looking at the car in front, but you're paying attention, and the fact that you can see both of them at the same time, it's really, you're trying to look at what they're doing, right? But it is a case of trying to train your brain that this is what the new regime, this is what you want it to do. You want it to be looking at those images out on the side and not ignoring it. Just like the first example that we had where you were looking at something on the wall and you weren't really paying that much attention to the shit around the outside. If you want to be a successful hunter, you've got to understand that you've got 150 degrees and you want to be looking at the whole lot all at the same time, and it can be done. So it's a very tricky topic to try and teach people to do just by looking at a video. So hopefully you do some of the little examples you click. There'll be two camps. There'll be those who think that I'm on drugs and the others that actually click and understand what I'm going on about. And for those people, you will it'll be an immense benefit. It's amazing how much you can actually see. In the video 3 where I shoot the deer, cock it up because I missed out the money shot, but I shot the deer, went down the hill, and then the next shot is the deer on the side of the hill. I saw that deer on the side of the hill out of the corner of the eye. I wasn't hunting, the rifle was still back up the hill because I didn't want to carry it down and up. And I'm just walking along and the brain's yelling at me saying, there's a black blob, because that's 240 yards. And at that distance you don't really see the horizontals and the curves, you just see the blobs. And my head's yelling at me saying, there's a black blob over there. And when you look hard, it's a fallow. So it's amazing how far and how much your brain can actually see with processing the image that the eyes give you. You just got to understand that the eye is giving you 150 degrees, and it's your job to get the brain to look at the full 150 degrees. So next little sequences I'm going to go and risk being told off by all the Karens and go and show you some of the cows in the park. but it's questionable as whether you'd actually get any real benefit out of it, because I can only really show you cows in the park. It's something that you sort of got to go and do yourself and practice. Look at the side, look over there, and this practice of being able to see the image while looking at something else. And having the brain understand that this is the new game in town, this is what I want you to do. Okay. Right. Well, I did say we had cows in the park, well, and it was no bull. Well, these boys are bulls, and they're fully equipped as well. So the key here is that if we just look at these three here, is to learn to identify that horizontal shape, because it does stand out like the proverbial. And the round shape for the head, well, yeah, the arse end, and then hopefully one of them starts looking at us, like these guys here. Okay, the head's a lot squarer than you get with a deer. The deer's got a very pointy nose to it, but yeah, horizontal top of the animal, and you can see the bull stand side on there. You got that view where the hand's too close, but where you get the see, that's a classic round shape that you get in the arse of a deer. The deer's arse is a slightly different shape, but essentially it's good training just to pick them out in a situation like this. The camera doesn't like wind from the side, so so hopefully I can piece together enough out of all this. And yeah, so the secret in doing this is to start with a view from the side, so that you're looking out of the corner of your eye at the stock. So in this example here, there you'll be looking about here, and you're looking out of the corner of your eye for that. And there you're trying to pick out those shapes I was talking about. And from this distance you should be able to pick out the horizontal and maybe a bit of the curve of the arse quite easily out of the corner of the eye. But any further away you're really only seeing them as a blob and maybe the horizontal shape. And then the next technique is to go from here, where you can't actually see them out of the corner of your eye, run your eye over to where they are, keep the eye moving, and then come back. And then try and pick out the horizontal shapes and the blobs, etc. And if you're doing it right, when you snap your eyes back like this, your eyes will go smack bang straight onto whatever you've picked out. And then the next technique is to actually go and keep going very slowly past it all until you get past the animals and you can't see them out of the corner of your eye, and then do the same thing. So it's a slightly tougher version than the glance method. So start with getting them out of the corner of your eye first, and yeah, it'll greatly improve your ability to see the deer. Here we can't do it where there's foliage and stuff, because there's none, but that would be the next challenge, is to try and pick them out where there's a whole lot of bushes and shit in between.